Hey, you guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we have an incredible interview in store for you guys, all the way down in Australia. We have Roy, and he is on his fourth juice fast. I think today is about day 60. And he reached out to me. He's had a huge transformation through juice fasting. I know in the past he's been in a really deep, dark place. And he says that God and juice fasting has truly helped him transform and get out of those places. So, you guys, this is going to be such a good one. Stick around till the end and let's hop into it. Hey, Roy, how's it going?
Yeah, good. Thanks. Yourself?
I'm great. Thanks for coming on. I saw your transformation on Instagram. You tagged me in before and after. What a before and after photos sometimes say so much. So I can't wait to hear what initially led you to juice fasting and what has happened.
Sure. Just begin from the start. Born and raised in Sydney, Australia. My mother is from Samoa and my father's from the Cook Islands. Just raised in a Polynesian family, our natural food diet was usually heavy meat and oils and a lot of carbs. But with my Christian faith base, my mother would always cook nut meat and casserole mince, which was like a vegan option, pretty similar to walnut meat with the mushrooms and stuff like that. So being raised with that at a young age, our Seventh-day Adventist church had opened a business called Sanitarium in the 80s. And it was based on our faith promoting whole foods and natural foods, which is obviously plant-based and God-given to us through vegetables and fruits. So I'm not new to the whole healthy nutrition, but yeah, it was instilled to me at a young age growing up. Fast forward maybe 10 to 15 years later, my mother started getting ill, and I noticed it was like a family history of the same sort of sicknesses. They never smoked, they never drank, but I realized as I grew up that it was the actual foods that they were intaking causing all these sicknesses, such as cancer, gout, arthritis, diabetes, high blood pressure. But because I was still a young teen then, I just never really thought about it. As you do as a young person, you just eat Macca's or KFC and kind of just hope for the best and run it off with your friends at the basketball court or things like that. As I got towards the end of my high school, my mum ended up having cancer, and my mum was my world because I had lost my father at a young age. I lost my father when I was only 7.
Wow.
So yeah, so mum pretty much became the father figure and the mother figure for our family. When the doctor told us mum had stage 4 cancer, we didn't really realize what that meant. We just thought, okay, where do we go from here? What surgeries do we do? But the doctor said, I'm sorry, there's nothing you can do. It's just a period of waiting now for your mother to pass away. Within 2 months, mum was gone. The cancer just moved so rapidly. But it was the faith that my mother instilled in us that I thought was going to get me through it. But like I said, my mother was everything to me. And even though my faith was strong, um, sorry,
No, it's okay. I'm
um,
sorry. How long
my,
ago was that she passed away?
it's been 8 years now, but it still feels like yesterday.
Yeah.
I was beside her every step of the way. And when she took her last breath, she still remained faithful to God. And it's something that I'll never forget. It made me the man I am today. Even though we go through trials and tribulations, God's with us in the good and the bad times. Yeah, once my mother Eleanor passed away, I fell into a deep, dark place in my life. Became an alcoholic, drug addiction, sloth and gluttony was slowly killing me. It was like a silent killer. I no longer wanted to go out into the world. I just shut everything off. But about 7 months later, after my mum passing, I ended up getting married. And I think that's what saved me at that time in my life was my wife. She was just a pillar of strength for me, even though I was in a complete mess. She just continued to stay by my side, and she supported me through my alcohol, through my drug addiction. And once again, I contracted the same sicknesses as my family members. I ended up getting gout. I ended up high blood pressure, diabetes. And I knew it was from the food, but at the time, I just didn't care.
Wow.
Maybe 5 or 6 years later, my eldest brother, it was just a normal Friday. I had knocked off work. We had caught each other and we were just having an open conversation as we do. And we were preparing for dinner that night at our auntie's place. The next call I got that afternoon was, oh, you need to rush. Your brother's collapsed at home. So I just rushed over to the house, and it just felt like the same eerie feeling I experienced with my mother and my father. I got to the house and my brother Richard was already passed on the floor, and there was paramedics everywhere trying to resuscitate my brother. Even though I had the faith, once again, I just broke in pieces, and I said, Lord, please don't take another one. You've taken my parents. Please don't take my eldest brother. It's the only thing I have left. And once they pronounced the time of death, it just spiraled me back into another deep, dark place.
Wow.
It was just such a tough time. After Richard had passed, my cousin reached out to me in terms of health. And I said, well, one of my personal trainer friends recommended this thing called a juice fast, but the documentary was created by Joe Cross, Fat, Sick and Nearly Dead documentary. So we watched it on YouTube, and for the human brain, you couldn't fathom not eating for, let alone one day. And they were promoting, 60 days or 100 days. So I've always been strong-minded, and I said to my cousin, do you want to give it a go? And he said, well, if you're in, I'm in too. So we decided to start then and there. And I'll never forget it because we're sweet tooth. So I kind of tried to have more fruits instead of the veggies. But the rule of thumb from our personal trainer friend was it's supposed to be 80% vegetables and maybe 20% fruit. So we ended up coming up with our favorite combination, which was 4 celery, 4 carrots, 4 green apples, and then a touch of ginger on the top. But I always had to have it on the rocks. I could never have it at room temperature. Yeah, just couldn't bear the taste of warm juice.
Mm-hmm.
I think within the first 24 hours, 48 hours, we started experiencing the crazy headaches, cold sweats. But I just said to my cousin, just stick with it. We'll get past it. We were warned that this would happen through the documentary. And then within the first week, just our smell, our energy, everything was just heightened. The hunger mechanism had totally disappeared. And like I said, being Samoan, our culture, we're always surrounded with big feeds in our family events. So everyone was eating around us, and sometimes they'd tease us, oh, do you want a burger? Or, do you want some lamb chops or some taro? It just wasn't even affecting us at that time. We were well and truly into the juice fast, and we were definitely enjoying it. We got to day 70, and that's where I truly believe the power of fasting and the cleansing of it. My cousin couldn't play volleyball. He couldn't play basketball. He was just pretty much bedridden. And on around day 70, I looked at the basketball court and volleyball court, and he was just spiking the volleyball. It was like he had peeled back 20 years. It was just this, he was just this new person. The skin was glowing. His eyes were just, the pigments were just white. His sense of smell, everything was just elevated. And that's when our church members and close family and friends just started asking the questions. How did you do it? You know, that the human brain couldn't fathom that we had gone 80 plus days without one piece of food. And we just had the same answer, you know. It was just the power of your mind and your willingness to heal yourself from within. You know, when we were children, we'd fall over, and if you got a cut, you just put a band-aid on it and it'll naturally heal over the, you know, next few days. And that's pretty much the same principle with juice, I believe. And after that, we had fallen off again. My auntie, which is my mother's only sister, had passed away. And we went back on the alcohol, and, you know, it was just the same process repeating over again. And I realized then and there, the difference was at that young age, we were doing the juice to have the physical appearance. We just wanted to look good. It was never about the internal change, like wanting to be actually healthy on the inside out. That went on for a couple of years, you know, just, you know, all the bad demons coming back, fast food, drive-through, no exercise. The sloth and gluttony was well and truly back, and it didn't take long. You know, it's easy to put on weight, but it's so hard to get rid of it. And then maybe, I think 6 or 7 years later, our cousin was getting married, and he reached out again, and he's like, "Hey, do you want to try the juice fast again?" I was like, "Nah, we've failed, you know, so many times before. Why are we going to do it again? You know, it's just going to be the same outcome. It's not worth it." And he said, "Come on, let's just give it a go." And I was like, "All right, if you're in, I'm in." So once again, we went on the juice fast. We already knew what to do, you know, the same routine. But this time around, we were struggling with the dehydration. So, you know, thank God for the internet. I kind of did my own studies and realized the power of Celtic salt. It was like a natural electrolyte. So we started having pinches of Himalayan salt in our water, and it helped us to remain hydrated. And also it was a natural electrolyte, because we love to hit the gym a lot, even during the juice fast. We got through that juice fast. That was the third time. And once again, dropped a lot of weight. We looked young, full of energy. Everyone was asking again, how did we do it? And it was just the same sort of process. But this fourth time around, bringing us to today, the difference now was I had just felt like I had failed as a son. I had failed as a husband. I had failed as a father. My eldest son is on the spectrum. He has autism. And during the time of COVID, Melbourne was the most locked down place. So I had lost my job. I had lost everything. I was just spiraling into that dark place again. You know, I couldn't provide for my wife and children. I had put all the weight back on for the, you know, the third time. And I just thought, you know, "I'm sorry, Mum. Everything you taught me to do, I've gone against your will. Everything that you've showed me to do in life, I've failed you." And I said to my wife, even though she remained with me every step of the way, you know, "Why are you still with me? You know, you deserve better. Just leave me." But she never left me. She stayed by my side, and I'm truly thankful to my wife. You know, they say, you find the right woman if she's exactly like your mother, and my wife has been a godsend for me and my children. You know, mental health, I know it's spoken a lot nowadays, but for us men, especially being a young father in a Polynesian community, it's not normal to speak about it. If we speak about mental health, we're considered weak. But I just want to say to anyone that's listening today, you know, if you're going through something, if you feel like there's no one around, God is with you always. And no matter what happens, it's not weak to speak.
No. And it's normal. It's normal to sometimes feel that way, you know? I've felt that way in the past too. I mean, and YouTube really helped me through those times, like Teal Swan videos. And because sometimes you feel like you
Yeah,
can't talk to people about that. You feel like we live in a world where you can't. And it's sad, you know? And I'm glad you got through that. Thank God. Because you're clearly an
thank you.
amazing person. And like you said, God is always with you, even when you feel like he's not there, you know, in those times.
Amen. Because God helps those that help themselves. So, I just picked myself up. I walked in, I looked at my kids, I just held them so tight, and I was just crying. I spoke to my wife and I said, "This can't happen no more. I've done this to you so many times and you stood by me through thick and thin." And I said, "Today, I'm going to do this juice fast and I'm not going back on my word. But this time it's for the internal change, not for the physical," which brought us to today, just the outpouring of people online and showing interest in the juice fast. I've just been loving to share and help others. In the beginning, they were just trying to figure out how to start. And I've just sent them as much information from my four juice fast journeys previously, just my experiences, especially being a big person. A lot of people that have done juice fast, it's easy to do it when you've always been small, but being a big person your whole life, you don't really understand what it's like unless you've been in those shoes.
True.
So currently I'm helping my sister-in-law. She's on her second week. She just started 2 weeks ago and she's definitely changed so much.
Wow.
Um,
Just
you
in 2
know,
weeks. Just in 2 weeks,
just,
right?
just in
Wow.
2 weeks.
What have you seen in her? Like what changes just in the 2 weeks?
Her energy, also her personality. She was similar to me. She just wanted to lock herself away from the world. She just, didn't feel comfortable in her own skin. But just within the 2 weeks, just the face starting to drop. I noticed that was the first thing, the face starting to drop. And just her confidence, she was just glowing more. She was more talkative. She was more outgoing. And, I just cried and said to her, you did that. I only gave you the tools. But if you didn't want to actually do it, you wouldn't have been at, 2 weeks. A lot of people that have tried it, they didn't even make it through the first day. So, my hat goes off to anyone that's done the juice fast or willing to start. You can do it, but you're stronger than you think. You know, a lot of times our minds play games, but that's my message that I wanted to say to everyone today is, if you're dealing with health issues like I was on daily medications for gout attacks and arthritis and high blood pressure. And I knew it wasn't doing any good for me with my gut health.
Mm-hmm.
Just a
Isn't it?
constant.
It's just crazy because it really goes to show like so much is what's going on the inside, you know? So like
Yeah,
as you and then the other woman on 2 weeks, it goes to show how changing what's going on the inside has changed so much, right? It shows how powerful our gut is, right? And maybe we're going through a dark time because of not just traumas and things going on in our life, but what's inside of our gut. And we need to really take that more serious, what we're putting inside of our body, right? And has the juicing reversed all of that? Are you still dealing with any gout, diabetes, things like that? Or has it really made big differences?
completely changed everything. I had a blood test last year
Mm-hmm.
and my acidic levels were through the roof. And the doctor said, at that time I was trying the keto diet, which is just purely meat and
Mm-hmm.
fat based.
Yeah.
And he said, you're not doing yourself any favors. The red meat, the fats, everything is just contributing to your health issues. But once again, I just thought, keto is working for everyone else. It was the fat diet at the moment. So I didn't listen. But fast forwarding to the juice fast now, I had my current blood test. Everything was gone. Acidic levels completely down. I'm no longer on,
Yay.
gout. Yeah, no longer on gout. Arthritis medication. High blood pressure's gone. When we go for walks, I'm full of energy to play with my kids. I'm going to the gym daily with my wife. I'm helping her with her journey. And, it's just the best feeling. It's a priceless feeling. We can have all the money in the world. We can have all the materialistic things in the world. But once you lose your health, it's game over. Nothing else matters.
Mm-hmm. It's the most important thing, really. And do you feel happier too? Like, do you feel Is it a big difference on your mental health and your happiness now versus before, just eating everything and having alcohol and drugs? And like, it must just be night and day, right?
So much better, It says in the Bible, we're transformed from God. And I truly believe that this juice fast not only transformed me from the inside out, but as a whole being, I want to share my story with everyone. I want to share the love of health, because without the health, we have nothing. And, I just want to thank Joe Cross and even give a shout out to Phil Coffer.
Mhm. I
Definitely,
love Phil. He's been on the channel. I'll link, Joe Cross has as well. I'll link both of those videos down below and I will try put them on the screen at the end of this video so you guys can carry on and watch those. But they're both so inspiring and it's great we have YouTube these days and all these things where we can go and tune into these people and totally transform as a result of it, right?
amen. And I feel I just linked with Phil Coffer because he's a young man himself, and see him, switch his bad habits for good. And he's, promoting his testimony. Our testimonies is a sermon to someone out there that's been through it or is going through it at the moment. So, just kudos to Phil Coffer, and God bless your journey, brother. I really appreciate your platform.
And
And
he's had
also,
loss in his life too. He's lost family
yes,
members too. So I can totally see where you can relate to that because you've been through a lot of loss. And what if
yes,
someone's watching right now and they've gone through a lot of loss and they're feeling in that depressed place, like they feel like giving up, like how you felt in the past. And I felt like that too. And I mean, something that always comes to mind for me when I've gone through like really dark times like that is like those times don't last. Like they do not last. They are temporary, just like a lot of polarity on this planet, how the rainy days are temporary and then the sun comes the next day, right? So if you're watching, you feel like giving up, don't give up because it's not going to last, right? Those times do not last. And I'm a big believer that like the lower you go through a dark time, like the higher you'll propel in a good time, you know? So just keep that in mind and remember like better days are coming. But what would you say to somebody who currently feels how you used to feel?
I would say, it's easy for me to say, pick yourself up and, be strong. But if I could give you one piece of advice, it'll be to just speak to someone, anyone, because the more you just sit in that dark place and like the pity kind of overwhelms you and consumes you, it's like a silent killer. So if there's one piece of advice I'd give to anyone that's going through a dark time, is it ain't weak to speak, and it's definitely not weak to reach out for help, whether it's a family member or a friend or even just a stranger. You must speak, because if you don't, especially in this generation of social media, we live in the swipe generation. No one really cares about anyone nowadays. I
You're
think
right.
our yeah,
And it's really important to speak. And that reminds me, like my therapist always reinforces this to me and says, like, we're tribal creatures. We need community. Like, we're not just built to just be alone in our houses on social media. Like, and I think, I personally think a big reason that a lot of people feel down and depressed, it's not only like the bad things, toxic things we're putting in our gut. I think that has a huge part of it. But also
yes.
for isolated, like community is so important, right? Having people around you. And if you don't have any family, you need to have that tribe of your friends and see them regularly and just have that connection. Or I think it's quite natural and normal if you don't have that to feel down, you know? I just don't want people watching, if you're going through those hard times, I don't want you to feel like something's wrong with you if you feel down. Because sometimes I do feel like we live in a world where you can't really tell people and we do live in a world where people are all about manifesting and positivity, which I am too. And some people just don't even want to listen to it. But that's part of this world. There's good and bad. And we need those relationships and those people that are going to support us through the good and the bad, right?
That's so true. You touched on a perfect point about community. When we're locked away, it does take a toll on your mental health. Once again, during the COVID time, Melbourne, Australia was the most locked down place in the world. And for all of us here, it just felt like we were in a prison. We couldn't go out and exercise. We couldn't ring our family members. We couldn't go to work, and if we were to be caught outside, would be, thrown in jail. or,
Mm-hmm.
it was just police brutality at that time here in Melbourne, Australia. It got to the point where some of us young fathers and a few other parents, we rallied and we went to the city. We were trying to stand up for human rights and our freedoms. But even with that rally, nothing changed, and everyone just went back to their houses. And you made a very valid point that we do need community. It takes a village to raise a child, right? So it's not
It
just the parent.
does. Mm-hmm.
Yes, and that's something I learned during my time being raised in the faith. The Seventh-day Adventist church, the community. Not only were we raised in the healthy foods and nutrition, but it wasn't about church or religion, but it was just about a family of people coming together and wanting to uplift each other, every
Mm-hmm.
weekend,
And
you know.
then that's good. On the juice fast, have you felt more connected to God? Have you felt a deeper spiritual connection? Because I noticed that when I did a 37-day juice fast, I never felt so connected to God in my whole life. And
Amen.
did you notice that, or did you not notice much of a difference? And like, eating clean even. Do you notice a
Yes,
big difference with that? And when you're clean inside and juicing versus before, like on alcohol, drugs, crappy food?
yes, definitely. Like the whole thought process was just tunnel vision, like before the juice fast, you were just letting social media consume your mind. But once you were feeding the body the healthy nutrition that was given from us from God, I just had that true one-on-one relationship with God finally after 37 years. But prior to that, I would just wear the nice suit and tie, look the part, make mum happy. And that was my relationship with God. I never truly had that one-on-one relationship until now. The juice fast completely cleansed me from the inside out. And now when I speak to God, he's truly like a best friend, like how we're having a conversation right now. Some people in public look at me weird, like I'll be praying over my food or just having an open conversation, but I'm not ashamed of God because he wasn't ashamed of us. And that's why I stand here today, just to spread the gospel till my last breath.
That's amazing. I love that. And if somebody's watching and they're feeling inspired by you and they're thinking, okay, maybe this is something I want to try. I want to try juice fast, whether it's for 3 days, 5 days, 10 days, or how long you've gone. And they're thinking like, how do I get started or what can I expect? What would you say to that?
I would say make sure you have your favorite foods the night before. So Macca's, KFC, whatever you love, fully indulge. And then the next day, with my experience, it just felt so much easier to kind of begin the juice fast because you had had everything that you love eating. And then the day before, just breaking into that fast for the first time, it definitely helps. If you try to go, cold turkey and just completely eat like maybe a couple of veggies or fruits, I don't think it'll work in my experience. So
Mhm.
fully have everything that you love to eat the day before. And then once you begin, it's like a full cleanse from obviously day one to whenever they choose to end their juice fast. Like my sister-in-law is doing at the moment. She was a big fast food eater, and I gave her the same, examples from my journeys. Have whatever you want tonight, but tomorrow is when we begin. And the first day, she surprised me. For her first time, no headaches. She wasn't having hunger issues. She wasn't feeling weak. Even like the headaches and stuff at night, nothing. And I just said to her, that's the power of your mind, but also I felt like all the experiences that I did on the 4 Gs fast had helped her through her first time. So now she's at the end of her second week. She's not even bothered by food or smell or alcohol or anything that used to, consume her.
Mhm.
But that would be the biggest thing I would say to someone who's going to start or wanting to start the juice fast is take it slow, you know, but make sure you consume as much of your favorite foods the day before you start. I definitely think that helps a lot.
Yeah, and I like what you were saying before. Like I know you said before, it can be hard when you're starting, like earlier on, to even get through the first day. And for me,
Yes.
even when I tried to do my first juice fast, even as a raw vegan, even if someone was super healthy, like I didn't make it through the first day. I was like, how do people do this? This is nuts. Like I wasn't drinking enough and stuff though. But then I ended up doing 37 days and it's literally still, I think, the best experience of my life. But also,
Best.
like, how long did it take you to feel good? Because I know you're feeling really bad going into it. So how was it like? What was the time frame before you started to feel good so that some people can maybe get a sense of how that could be like how much time frame?
For me, the first time I did it, maybe the second or third day, and then second, third, and fourth time, my body was kind of used to it by then. So pretty much when I would start the juice fast, I was pretty much just set on it. But in for everyone, everyone has different ways that their body reacts.
Hmm.
Hence
I was just
why,
thinking, sorry to interrupt. I think it's like 5 a.m. your time. I was just thinking it's funny. People are calling you. It's early. It's good. I love it.
I know it's my alarm for the gym. I'm usually up now
Oh,
to go work out and stuff like that, but that's fine. But like I said, everyone's different, and that's why I place those just those safety mechanisms for first timers with the Celtic salt and Himalayan salt in your water.
mm,
It definitely helps with the natural electrolytes to keep your energy up and to fight that dehydration because with the juice and the water intake, obviously you're always going to the restroom, you're always flushing out your system. You're gonna
true.
feel weak because you're having no carbs, there's no fiber. And that's the other thing I want to touch on is the bowel movements. Some people might panic and be like, oh, I haven't, had bowel movement for 3 days, 4 days, like my sister was experiencing. And I said, don't panic. It happened to me, but just keep consuming the juice. And then you'll see maybe on the third day or fourth day, out of nowhere, it'll just completely, flush you out. And she's been experiencing it and loving the feeling.
Exactly. Yeah. Because people say that to me, even if they're doing like any type of cleanse, they're like, I'm bloated. I'm not having a bowel movement. It's been like
Yeah.
4 or 5 days. But from my experience doing those fasts and from seeing people, that's normal. Like your body is just adjusting or something's going on. And then it gets like better than ever and you feel better than ever. So I think it's just a matter of hanging in there. And how have you hung in there? Like you've done four and look at you on day, like you've been doing it for 2 months basically right now. You're on day 60 or whatever. So that is like willpower. That is mental power. So, how have you done that? I think especially in the beginning, it's tough getting through those first few days. So, any advice for like how to stay on track, with the juice fast?
Honestly, I know it's been said so many times. It's the power of your own mind, and nothing changes if nothing changes. So, like,
Mm,
it's the power of your own will. I can tell everyone today what to do, buy the tea, everything that helped me out. But at the end of the day, it's down to the individual's mindset. Your willingness to want to improve your health. You're stronger than you think. And, if there's anyone out there that thinks they can't do it, I'm living proof. I've done it 4 times. I haven't
mhm,
eaten for the last 40, 50, 60 days. I'm still breathing. I'm just energy's through the roof. I'm working out at the gym. I'm a better father, a better husband, and I'm not bragging or anything, but
mhm,
I'm just, telling you the truth that you can do it. But it all comes down to yourself. There's a saying you can lead the horse, to the water, but you can't make it drink.
mhm.
So that's what I'd say to anyone that's willing or wanting to do it.
Yeah.
It's all about
And
that mindset.
how long do you think you'll go this time? And do you just go with the flow and think maybe in the future you might spiral backwards again? Are you like okay with that? Or do you think after this one you want to stay like on track?
This time around, it's different. It's not about the appearance. It's like I
Mm,
said, the internal health. I'm getting close to my 40s now, and my sons are growing up. And I said to my wife, I want to raise young, healthy men, but I have to be an example. It's actions over words. I can't be saying to my sons, eat right, train hard, but they look at their father and he's the complete opposite. So that's the big change for me this time around. whenever I break this fast, I'm probably gonna stay on vegan. I've loved vegan, like I said, growing up. My
Hmm.
mother
Hmm.
always had meat in the house and casserole mince and stuff like that. So it's not hard for me to switch from meat and dairy to just pure vegan or vegetarian kind of plant-based foods.
Hmm.
But that's definitely where I'm heading at this time in my life.
Yeah. And
Uh,
I know a lot of people will wonder, and I noticed even when I saw that before and after picture of you this morning, like how much weight have you lost? If you weigh yourself, I don't know. Some people don't even weigh themselves. Have you? And what has the weight loss journey been like on this juice fast?
So when I started, it was about 180, 190 kilos because I love powerlifting. So at that time, I didn't care about nutrition. I was just, they call it dirty bulking. You just eat so many carbs for high calories, and then you're able to lift, heavy in the gym. So I was just grabbing calories from anything, Hungry Jacks, Whoppers,
Hmm.
milkshakes,
Hmm.
cheeseburgers. And then I'd get to the gym and I'd love the feeling because I'd be deadlifting like 260 kgs, doing, 180, 200 kilo squats, bench pressing 200 kilos or 180. I just love the feeling of being powerful, but I was killing myself slowly, So
Hmm.
my average weight that I started was about, 180 kgs. And
What's that in
um,
pounds? Do you know or no?
I'm not sure here in
No, it's
Australia
okay then. I'll figure it out after. And then, so what about now?
now, I'm down to about 120.
Whoa. I have to
Yeah.
calculate what it is. Somebody let me know in the comments, but I'll look and try put it on the screen too, because I know in Canada, I don't know. I just know pounds, but I could even tell without knowing the numbers. I could see a big difference. And you must feel a
Yes.
big difference in your energy, when you wake up without all that extra weight in the morning and walking around, taking care of your kids, stuff like that, right?
Yes. Like I said, being a big person my whole life, other people out there that have been big their whole life can relate. It's a mental health issue too. Like when you get up in the morning and you look in the mirror and you don't like what you see,
Hmm.
it takes a toll on you again. People say, oh, you're just a big guy. You're just a big guy. That's the usual word thrown around. But when you go back home and you're by yourself, it does just slowly eat at you. You look in the mirror, and if you're not happy with yourself, I just said to myself, no one's going to come and save you. You got to do it for yourself.
Hmm. That's so
That was,
true.
that was the ultimate pivot point in my life. I just couldn't sit in my own pity. I just said, no one's going to come and do it for you. Now's the time to get up and just do it for yourself.
Hmm. And what would you say has been the greatest part of all of this? The best part, like the number one thing that comes to mind about this whole experience?
To be honest, my wife would probably be upset, but just seeing my wife's reaction, because when I said it from day one, I think she kind of thought, oh, here we go again. He's just going to do it and fall off again.
Hmm.
Just seeing my wife's reaction to me daily through the process of this juice fast, she's, when she comes up and says to me, you look like the guy I met, 10 plus years ago when we were just boyfriend and girlfriend before we got married. So for me, it was like the best feeling, to see my wife happy, that she got her husband back that she always wanted, but she never, you know, made me feel any different. She loved me when I was big or when I was small. But if I had to be honest, that's what I've taken from this juice fast is just the effect it's had on my marriage. It's just built us up so much stronger now.
Wow, I love that. That's so beautiful and so amazing. And you're so inspiring. I saw some of your Instagram posts too, and I love how closely you follow God and how spiritual you are and how loving you are with your family. And you've come a long way. Like you've been through so much. I admire it. It's amazing.
Yeah, everyone has a sad story in life. Everyone's gone through something. But I think the true difference is whether you're gonna just sit in that sadness and let it consume you, or you're gonna just say, okay, I've been through all of this, but it's time to stand up and, take care of it all and really take care of yourself.
Now, because I think for people who are low, it's like good to hear these types of stories. Now, aren't you really glad that you didn't give up?
I'm forever thankful to God for that because we wouldn't be having this conversation today. I wouldn't be here. And I can never repay the debt to him. He saved my life truly. So, everything I do now is in tribute to God, which is what I'm wearing today. I created this clothing brand, and it's not just a Christian clothing brand that people think where it's only for a person that knows God. I created tribute to God for everyone. God doesn't look at the outside appearance. He looks deep into our hearts. So, I could meet someone on the street that's covered in tattoos, he's homeless or something, no disrespect. And he could have a cleaner heart than mine, and I might have a nice suit on. And that's what I love about God. He's the true truth in this whole world. And he's the true definition of love, unconditional love. He doesn't hold any hatred or anything towards anyone, whether we've done so many wrongs in our life. He's the all-loving God. And it takes me back to the story of, when Jesus was crucified, the crook beside him on the other cross. The only way he made it into paradise at that time, he just believed. He never went to church. He was never baptized. He never read the Bible. But he just knew then and there that this was his Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. And he just believed. And that's what we do. If there's anyone listening, you don't have to be a Christian, whatever religion you are. God seeks your heart. And if you're willing to open up your heart, he will come into your heart and he will transform you from the inside out like he did for me.
I love that.
I'm not a preacher, I just want to be straight up to anyone that's listening to this podcast that God is love, and I promise his love is enough.
And that's everything. And I love the clothing line. I'll put it, do you have a website so I can put a link below if anybody wants to grab one?
Yes, we have Instagram at the moment. It's Tribute to God on Instagram. But I will definitely send you the link so you can link it down.
Yeah, and I'm going to order one. I love it. It's really nice. Good job.
God bless you.
Yeah, and a couple more things just about the Juice Fast specifics, because I know people always ask me, and you've been very successful, I feel like, at this Juice Fast. So sort of like, what has been your daily routine? How much juice have you been drinking? And what juicer did you use? Because these are questions people always ask me, and they might get a little bit mad if I don't cover them in this. So
I used, in terms of the juicer, I used the Breville big fruit machine. It's got like a big chute, so you don't have to cut the apples.
yeah,
It's very time consuming. So the Breville big chute juicer.
Yeah.
It was so easy, you just throw the apples in, carrots, whatever is your preference. And it was so easy to clean up as well.
Yeah. If you guys are looking to upgrade your juicing game or get the best juicer on the market, I'm here to offer you a big discount on my favorite juicer, the juicer you see every influencer use, the 𝒔𝒂𝒗2. This is my personal favorite juicer, the 𝒔𝒂𝒗2, and they've also recently come out with accessories which you can add on to your 𝒔𝒂𝒗2 purchase. And that's a large 3-liter hopper, a large 3-liter pitcher, and the pulp catcher here. So you can literally juice so much at once. I'm gonna make a big batch of orange juice right now. It makes the cleanest juice. Okay, look how much juice we just made at once. The best quality juice. This juicer is incredible, and you get so much more juice from your produce too. So it's totally worth the money. I cannot recommend it enough. This will just make you get healthier, feel great, live your best life. Look at that. So delicious. Now back to the amazing podcast.
And sorry, darling, what was the other question?
How much did you drink in a day? I know that's important. I know some people just drink like 4 of the 32-ounce jars, but when I do it, I'm drinking like 8 to 12 plus fresh cracked coconut water. I find that helps me for hydration and stuff too. So I drink a lot, but I know most people don't. But like, sort of, what was your daily routine, and what do you do in moments? Have you had thoughts where you felt like just falling off and stopping? And what do you do to get through those moments?
Yeah, so my rule of thumb is minimum 2 liters. You must have at least 2 liters, regardless if you don't want to drink it or not. And then after that, that's the beauty of juice, which I love, is it's not like a normal diet. There's no calorie, deficiency kind of limit. So just as long as you have the 2 liters minimum a day, you can have as much as you want after the 2 liters or not. That's up to you. But on the down days, if I was feeling low in energy, I definitely, if you're out and you're not at home and you've forgotten to juice, and take it on the road with you, Here in Australia, we have a company called Nudie Juice. I don't know if you have it there in America,
Mm-hmm.
but that was one of the ones that I loved. I'd usually go for like a watermelon or a green juice.
Mm-hmm.
There's another brand here in Australia, Empresso Juice. They
Mm-hmm.
have a nice blend of green juice. So if you're out on the road, I usually go to Coles or Woolies, which is I think Safeway for you guys, or Aldi or something, and you can definitely purchase those juices, Empresso or Nudie.
Mm-hmm.
It's very good, especially when you're down on energy. Because I nearly passed out at the beach. I was just swimming with my kids, and my wife's like, "Are you all right?" I was like, "Yeah, I think I need a juice." And then yeah, just quickly had a few sips. But that's the rule of thumb that's worked for me over the 4 times I've done it. Is minimum two, and then you can just go for gold after that as much as you want. But
Yeah.
don't forget the Himalayan salt. That's a
Okay.
big game changer,
Yeah.
because people think, oh, yuck, salt, high sodium. But it definitely helped me. I'm a big boy. I'm like 6'6",
Mm-hmm.
and I never felt any energy drop after having that. It's just a pinch. You don't have to have too much. It
Mm-hmm.
definitely just keeps your energy up and it helps fight the dehydration
Yeah.
because you'll be passing regularly on the daily. So yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And did you ever have those moments where you felt like, oh, I just want to stop, whether it was like day 1, 3, 5, 20, like, and how did you combat those moments and not give in to the temptation to just stop?
To be honest, I never had that feeling that I wanted to
Wow.
stop. But just being honest now with this juice fast, I've noticed, if no one's aware, with juice fast, sometimes it can start eating your muscle away
Mm-hmm.
instead of your fat. And that's what I started to notice on this juice fast was I was dropping a lot of weight and the fat loss was awesome. But as I progressed past, I think day 40, 50,
Mm-hmm.
I started to notice my muscle was starting to get eaten into as well from the juice fast because obviously you're not having protein.
Mm-hmm.
So that's something I'll just share with anyone that's wanting to start for the first time. Just be aware that sometimes it depends on the person. It could take your fat loss or your muscle, it just depends on the person.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And any like, because you've done four, which is pretty huge. I'm sure most people watching haven't done four. Are there any like do's and don'ts? Because you've learned a lot, you know a lot. Do you have any do's and don'ts for people that just pop in your mind?
The do's, like I said, is make sure you have that Celtic salt in your water. My rule of thumb is every time you have a liter of juice, you must have a cup of water straight away after that liter of juice.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you're just trying to guzzle down 2 liters of water in one sitting, it's just not right. Like, it doesn't sit in your gut well. So that was the easier way to get the water consumption in. You'd have your first liter of juice and then just have a glass of water. Or even if you don't feel like you can consume a whole liter in one sitting, just have your glass of juice and then make sure you always have that one glass of water straight after. But the don'ts, maybe the only don't I can recommend is keep that 80% veggie and
Mm-hmm.
20%, because a lot of people will think, all right, I can just juice all the fruits and just make it taste, beautiful like a
Mm-hmm.
sugar drink. But I don't recommend that. You want to keep up the greens and just have a touch of fruit, whatever your preference. I love green apples and ginger, it's the best.
And the greens make you feel really good too. I know it can seem harder, maybe at first too, doing like such high vegetable like that, but I feel like they really make you feel the green juices. If
Yeah.
there's anything anybody's watching, no matter what your lifestyle, and you were like, what's one thing I can do to change my life, no matter how people eat? I think just even if you don't want to do a juice fast, just adding in one green juice a day, it's so powerful, right?
So true. Every time I consume with my juice fast, I also do intermittent fasting, which combines
Mm-hmm.
with it. So I do the 12 to 8 window. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm just consuming water with the salt still throughout my fasting window. And then
Mm-hmm.
when it hits 12 in the Arvo, that's when I have my first juice to break the intermittent fasting window. And then at 8 p.m. at night, that's when it closes. But yeah, you don't have to do intermittent fasting. You're already well and truly in a calorie deficit once you begin the juice fast. So
Mm-hmm.
the weight will come off. But yeah, as far as don'ts, I think that's the only one I can recommend is 80% veggie and 20% fruit. Don't put more fruit than veggie.
And the fruit and veg is powerful, right? Even look at your blood work says it all from when before when you were eating a lot of meat and then the blood work wasn't good. And to this, it's so much better. That's such a testament. That just says so much right there, right?
So much, it's definitely a pure cleanse and detox as well, the juice fast. Every time I did it, my gout, arthritis, high blood pressure, all my medical issues completely gone. As soon as I went off it and went back to the bad food, it just came back like overnight came back. That's how quickly the body can just adjust. So if you've been ill your whole life, it's never too late. And I definitely recommend the juice. I've done it 4 times. I'm not bragging. I'm just sharing with you, a real life testimony that
Mm-hmm.
I've gotten up or fallen off, and this time around, it's just worked wonders in my life, especially with my health.
Yeah, and these foods, like when you're juicing them, they're so alive, they're so electric. So it's really hard not to feel like colorful and vibrant and electric and alive like those foods, right? Versus if we're eating a bunch of dead food, a lot of times, not all the time, but in a lot of cases, it can make you feel like dead inside, right? And like crap. So, well, this has been a great talk. You've had such an amazing transformation, and I truly think you're such an honorable, amazing human being. Is there anything else you feel called to share with the viewers today before we end off? Any advice or anything you think we might have missed about your experience or just anything at all? And if not, that's okay too. And if there's anywhere if people want to reach out to you, can they? And I'll put your website below for the clothes. I'm literally going to go order a hoodie today after this. But let us know where people can find you if they want to connect as well.
If anyone wants to connect with me, you can just search Tama Leonga on Instagram, and also my clothing brand you mentioned, Tribute to God. But I'm not on Facebook, sorry, and TikTok as well. You can reach me on Tama Leonga on TikTok as well. But if I had anything else to say, it'll be that you're gonna be okay. You know, whatever you're going through, you're gonna be okay. Just don't be afraid to speak to anyone, to someone. And whether you know God or you don't, you know, the power of prayer is that it's your secret place. And when no one's around, like I said, God is with you always. So just speak to him like you would your best friend.
Mhm.
Prayer is not about on your knees and the stereotype prayer. It's just about open conversation of what we're having today. So if there was any advice, it'll be that, don't be afraid to speak. And it's not weak to speak. You're stronger than you think. And God is love, and I promise his love is enough. And God bless you for having me on your channel. God bless your future endeavors, Gillian, and your platform and your family. I pray nothing but blessings upon you and your future. And thanks for having me on this platform. I'm just a servant of the Lord, and I'm very humbled and
Thank you.
thankful for you to even consider having me on
Of
today. So God
course. I
bless.
think you're incredible. I'm so glad you connected with me and you have such good energy and such calming energy. And I know you've been through a lot of loss, and I feel like everybody is on the other side watching you and proud of you and loving you. I think you're great and you're doing such a great job. And I'm just so happy for you and for your experience. And again, thanks for reaching out. Thanks for sharing with all of us. We truly appreciate it. And to the viewers, I hope you guys enjoyed this. If you did, be sure to subscribe so you don't miss awesome videos just like this. And I'll put on the screen the Phil Cofer interview and the Joe Cross interview. And I'm always looking for amazing stories just like this one. I feel like it was destiny, Roy just reaching out to me, and we literally set up the interview right away. So if you have an amazing story like this or related to just health and transforming your life, spirituality, feel free to connect with me as well on Instagram or email me. And I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.
Bye. God bless.